Kyousuke got MVP for Cologne. ZywOo proves he's better than Simple. FaZe are gearing up for roster changes. And much more. Hello there friends, you're watching CS2 News Hub, so without further ado, let's get straight to it. We shall start today's episode with some interesting roster shuffle news. Remember when Cloud9 bought out the former Gambit roster, Nafany, Shiro, Hobbit, Exile and Interz? Well, now that legendary roster is completely gone, with everyone scattered across different teams, and some just sitting there on benches. Take Nafany for example. Once considered one of the best IGLs in the Eastern European scene, his career hit a slump after the switch to CS2, and he spent a long stretch without a team. But now he officially got a chance to prove himself again, because he's joining the new AMKAL lineup, the team that brought us Molodoi. And joining him are Kairon and Travis, together with Pasha Nosh, the ex-coach of VP. Their goal now is to find their way up from Tier 2. Speaking of roster moves, we can't skip a story involving FaZe Clan. So, not so long ago they benched Simple and brought back Brokey, but now it seems that another shuffle might be on the horizon. It started with Sponge suggesting that FaZe Clan could make changes right after the Esports World Cup. That caught a lot of people off guard, sparking speculation about who might be replaced. Then Overdrive stepped in, claiming that FaZe Clan are planning to bring back Twistzz, and to make it happen, they will trade away Elige. It's an unexpected move, and for now it's still just a rumor, but if it happens, FaZe Clan could gain a whole new dynamic, while Liquid might finally shake things up in their own lineup and potentially change their playstyle. Although honestly, I feel like Elige is having a good time in FaZe. Does he even want to go back to Liquid? That's another question.
Hey guys, before we jump to the next news, let me just take a minute to tell you about our friends at ForceDrop. They're one of the oldest and most trusted case opening websites out there. These guys have been in the game for over 9 years. Whether you're into free cases, super cheap ones, or rare and risky drops, they've got it all. There are also tons of game modes to check out, battles, contracts, and my personal favorite, Upgrade, where you can turn a basic skin into a knife. They also run constant giveaways for those who deposit, with some seriously juicy prizes up for grabs. Plenty of deposit options too, including crypto. And if you use crypto, you will get an extra 3% bonus. And here's the best part, we've got an exclusive promo code for you, News Hub. Enter it on the site or just click the link in the pinned comment, and you will get a 40% bonus to your deposit, top-tier drops, and instant cash-outs. That's what ForceDrop is about. Check it out and see for yourself.
Now let's circle back to the topic that we covered in the last video. It's now confirmed that Zweih has managed to get his account back. It didn't happen instantly though, because for a while he couldn't play at all, and he had to contact Steam support, and when the response was slow, he even reached out on Twitter. But now everything's sorted, and he's free to play without any restrictions. Guys, always be wary about where you log in through Steam. Always stay put. Now, my friends, I have a question for you. Your neighbors, how do they react to the fact that you shout and scream during your CS games late at night? While you're typing in the comments below, let's hear a story about Rigon, who's apparently facing some real-life legal issues. Because his neighbors have been complaining about him shouting during official matches, to the point where they often call the police to have a chat with him. For example, during a match against Ants, he said he leaned out the window during a pause just to show the police that he was the one yelling. Can you imagine? Well, let's hope he was just joking, otherwise he need to move. Speaking of poses, there's an interesting theory from our favorite cyclist Pimp. With the switch to CS2, teams now have 3 timeouts instead of 4, like it was in CSGO, but in Pimp's opinion, this system could use a tweak. He floated 2 ideas, both still purely theoretical. The first one is to ban the opposing team from talking during your timeout, although that would be tricky to enforce, because many coaches and players would likely do it out of habit. But on the other side, side, there are admins, you know? Pimp's second take is more realistic. It's to reduce the number of timeouts to 2 per team per map. It would still add difficulties to the game, but it's at least more practical to implement. And of course, for any of this to happen, it would need Valve's approval, and right now they seem pretty busy just fixing their own ranking system. Obviously not cheaters and anything else. Now, my friends, let's talk about huge tournaments. For example, the EWC. Even though the tournament is still in full swing across other disciplines, our CS2 part will start in only like a couple of weeks. But the tournament organizers have already released the schedule for the upcoming matches, and it's looking stacked. Opening the action are Vitality versus Liquid, then Tyloo versus Astralis, a chance to replay the Fisher Playground finals. From the less hyped matches, we've got NAVI versus 3D Max and Game Religion versus the Mongols. And on the other side of the bracket are Mouse versus Virtus.pro, G2 versus Falcons, a high-stakes grudge matchup for both sides, FaZe versus Aurora, and finally Team Spirit versus Heroic. I remind you that we've got the single elimination bracket here, so the real excitement will come in the second round, because if Falcons and Spirit both perform at their best, we're gonna see something really cool in the semi-finals. It would be a perfect test for not only Kyousuke, but for Spirit as a whole. Speaking of Kyousuke, HLTV recently wrapped up the IEM Cologne and announced the event's EVPs. The list included Bit, Torji, Shiro, Molodoi, and surprisingly Kyousuke. Why surprisingly? Well, because Falcons rookie played only 3 matches, all in the group stage, and still earned the award. This sparked a lot of backlash in the English-speaking community, pointing out that there were at least 4 other players this year who also didn't make it to the playoffs, but based on stats could have been given the same recognition. For example, Grin, who was perfect at IEM Melbourne with a 1.35, Nerds at IEM Katowice with 1.28, Rigali with 1.24, and 9 with 1.20. People also questioned why Kyousuke got it over names like Sershan or Ropz. Guys, what do you think? Did Kyousuke truly deserve the EVP, or not yet? I mean, he totally carried Falcons for the whole 3 matches, but dude, 3 matches of group stage and EVP, it's not fair. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Now, we've previously mentioned that all of Ropz's ex-teammates and current teammates call him the best player that they've ever worked with. And it looks like this fan club might just gain another high-profile member soon. And it's simple. Recently, Alexander was asked which player he'd want in his dream lineup, no matter the cost, and his answer was quick as lightning: Ropz. Although he also said Bit then, but Ropz was the first to come. So guys, can you imagine if BCG actually managed to sign Ropz? First they would have to pay a lot of money to Vitality, like a lot of money, but that could also bring a lot of firepower to the team. And what's more, it will give them a much better chance of keeping Simple around. Although this whole thing is very unlikely to happen. Speaking of Simple, recently Tarik commented on the ongoing Aura debate, saying it's wrong to claim ZywOo has none while Simple does. In his view, both players have auras, just different kinds. Simple is like a charismatic villain, someone who says whatever he wants and gets away with it, because he's cool as hell, while ZywOo is the chill, positive guy with a warm, friendly vibe. But people still are afraid of him on the server, and in that sense, Tarik thinks the Frenchman's aura might actually be better. Could this be the proof that ZywOo is better than Simple? Friends, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Now, back to the beginning of the video, we talked about the former Gambit and Cloud9 players, and it turns out another one has found a new home. And this time it's Interz, who joined OneWin, where his former teammate Hobbit is currently playing. You know, back in the COVID online era, Interz might not have been the star of the roster, but he still did a ton of the dirty work. He was a rock-solid anchor, and he could easily compete with Perfecto for the title of the best in the role. And now, after being AFK for some time, he has finally the chance to prove that he's still worth it. Alright, since we've talked about the best, let's talk about the worst, because according to Maui Snake and Kasad, the recent Blast bounty takes the crown. In their opinion, it's basically because during the entire first stage of the group matches, not a single underdog managed to win, even though the whole format and the concept of the tournament is built around the possibility Vitality. Blast Bounty is basically about underdogs beating the favorites. So on the final day alone, Aurora easily beat FlyQuest, the Mongols struggled a bit but still locked down Ants, Vitality just annihilated Energy, and Heroic, even with a stand-in from their academy, managed to beat Complexity. At least the second stage promised us to be more exciting, and that's exactly what's coming up next. So yeah, let's move to Blast Bounty Stage 2. Only the winners from the first matches made it through, so there were no underdogs left. And the first match was Astralis versus NAVI. Although the Born to Win were handicapped, because Blade couldn't be present due to recovery from his surgery on the broken arm. The series began on Dust 2, Astralis' pick. NAVI came out swinging, taking 4 rounds in a row, giving up 1, but then winning another 3. Astralis managed to do something at the end of the half, but it still was 8-4 in favor of NAVI. After the side switch, Astralis lost the pistol round, but then they almost came back. They won 4 rounds straight, although NAVI always stayed just a step ahead and closed the map 13-11. Next was Inferno, NAVI's pick, and this time the Danes simply dominated. At one point it was 6-1 for Astralis, but I have to say NAVI regrouped and they managed to tie the score by the end of the half. However, after the switch, Astralis gave NAVI no room to recover, allowing them just 1 round and ending their opponent's 6-match win streak on this map. The decider was Nuke, and it ended almost as soon as it began. Starting on T side, Astralis gave up only 2 rounds in the first half. Yeah, in attack. On the city side, they simply finished the job, closing out the map with ease. NAVI just didn't show up. So yeah, not only did Astralis beat a very strong opponent, but they also denied NAVI a playoff spot at this tournament, so it happened for the first time since 2018. I mean, is this the start of a new Astralis era finally? Hooksy the Giga Chad. The second matchup of the day was Virtus.pro versus FaZe Clan, and it began on the now standard Virtus.pro pick, Overpass. After losing the pistol round, VP strung together 4 straight. But then, Elige was caught using wall hack just in game, which seemed to spark a FaZe comeback. Just look at this highlight, guys. How did he do it? Anyways, that comeback turned into full control, with the first half ending 7-5 in favor of FaZe. Although, after the side switch, Virtus.pro looked much more confident, and at one point they got 7 rounds in a row, and closed out their map pick with a solid win. Next was Ancient, FaZe's pick, where they looked completely at home. VP started off with some light dominance again, but FaZe rallied towards the end of the first half, winning almost 7 straight. In the second half, VP started strong, but FaZe secured a 3-round streak and soon closed out their pick. The decider was Inferno, and here the first half dominance was entirely in FaZe's hands. They won almost 8 straight rounds, barely letting Virtus.pro play. But after the side switch, it was as the teams swapped places. FaZe only took the pistol round, while Virtus.pro rattled off 9 consecutive rounds and claimed the win, shockingly. They punched their ticket to Malta, while FaZe Clan will go home. The third match of the day was G2 versus Spirit, and it was also very surprising. It began on Mirage, Spirit's pick. The Samurai started strong, they got 4 rounds. After that, the game turned into a back-and-forth exchanges, which ultimately tilted in Spirit's favor, but the first half still went to G2. Although there was one thing, it was basically 4v5, because Dunk never showed up. Next, in the second half, the Dragons came back. They won 2 separate streaks of 3 rounds each and eventually closed out the map, although it was pretty rough. There was no Dunk on the map. He couldn't even break a 1.0 HLTV rating there. So Chopper, Zweih, Shiro, and Zontix were just doing it without him. Next up was Ancient, Spirit's pick, and G2 decided to repeat the fast start from map 1. Only this time, instead of 4 rounds, they took 10 in the first half. Yeah, that's right, complete dominance. In the second half, Spirit tried to claw back, even managing 5 rounds in a row, but it wasn't enough, and the match moved to the decider. Once again, Dunk's numbers were far from impressive, just like a normal player. The decider was Dust 2, and Spirit took the early lead, 3 rounds at the start. Then they gave up 4 in the middle, but added another 3 at the end, so it was 5-7 at the halftime. After the switch, they dropped only the pistol round and 1 buy round. Everything else was just single-handedly carried by Shiro. Donk once again was just guarding the low tab. And this was actually the first time in the modern Spirit era since Donk joined that he finished the series with a rating 1.0 and below, and the Dragons still won. Looks like it's not only Donk who can carry the team, which is although a good thing to hear, right? The final match of the day was FURIA versus Liquid, and on paper it looked like an easy win for the Brazilian international roster against a tier 1.5 team, and at first that's exactly how it started. On Liquid's pick, FURIA won the first half 8-4, then they took the second half without dropping a single round. But things changed on FURIA's own pick, Train, because Liquid won the first half 7-5, and then they gave up only 1 round in the second half, so it's a surprising result, considering how well FURIA usually plays Train, even against top 5 teams. That loss seemed to shake their confidence, because on the decider, Dust 2, despite an even first half, they once again managed to take only 1 round in the second. So yeah, Liquid took it. Here I have to note that during the first matches, FURIA boasted about easily destroying BIG, which may have led them to underestimate Liquid, or it was simply karma. And this was with the Polish duo of Ultimate and Shui just having an off day, so maybe things aren't looking quite as bad for Liquid after all. What do you think, guys? Tell us in the comments below. And meanwhile, I have to say that that's all for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the follow button, to drop by in the comments below and like this video. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time, my friends. See you soon.